Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are on YouTube on the Orange and Black Insider. Check us out. It's us and it's John and Anthony over at OBI. And then we are on the Believe Network. Our channel is called Believe in Cincy. It's us. It's John and Anthony and OBI. It's Matt and Willie No Ball. And then it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. Pretty much Bengals content every day, whether it's season or not. Check us out. Follow, subscribe, like all the whole stuff. CincyJungle.com. Check us out there. And today's draft day. Not now, we're recording this on Wednesday, but when you're seeing it, it's draft day. So the draft is tonight. So Kevin, how pumped are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you a 12?
I'm incredibly pumped. Yeah. Incredibly pumped. This is my favorite times of the year. I have whole draft boards that no one will ever see but me, because this is like my favorite hobby, and I just need to write things down because I feel like I'm just exploding with opinions that no one cares about. I'm particularly excited. We're not going to spend a long time on this, but saw a report that Al Golden wants to run a 3-4, or at least more frequently run a 3-4. And I feel like that kind of last second changes my opinion on a few picks. And that's just fun. It's just fun to have to do this. I'm just excited. I love this time.
Throw an extra wrench into the thing, see what happens.
Yep.
I love the draft for a few reasons. One, it shows the NFL's like pure domination over all other sports.
Yes.
In the country, is it say, hey, like right now we're playing playoff hockey. Right now we're playing playoff hockey. Maybe I'm not 100% sure, but they're playing hockey. They're playing playoff basketball. They're playing baseball. But no, number one on the
number one. Yeah, the draft.
Number one thing is the NFL draft.
Yeah.
It'll be outviewed by over everybody. It's going to be great. So as everybody knows, first round Thursday night, second, third rounds Friday night, and then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh on Friday afternoon on into the evening. Bengals have 6 picks. They have everything except for a 7th round pick. But what we thought would be fun tonight is we kind of went through and we thought maybe at first there would be 10 or something, but we actually ended up coming up with 16, 17 possible players, possible moves the Bengals could pick at the number 17 overall pick. And then we're going to rank those 17 guys into tiers on what we'd be happy with, what we'd be less happy with, and then what we'd be not very happy at all about. So I don't see a way that one of these 17 guys are not taken. I think things would have to fall in a really, really weird way for that not to happen. So I do confidently believe, 99.9% believe that it will be one of these guys. Do you agree with that?
Except in a trade back, except in a trade back scenario,
right?
Where I could see a Gray Zabel or somebody else getting in the mix
in the first.
But we can't be predicting that without knowing where that trade back will happen. I'm not saying it would happen, but we could trade out of the first entirely. I mean, it's theoretically possible. So we're not even going to attempt that kind of projection. Another thing about this list is we want to make it clear that we're assuming any player we talk about has cleared whatever the Bengals need them to clear as far as Walter Nolan and Mike Green's personality issues, if that's what you would call it, or as far as the medicals of like Derek Harmon or Jaheed Campbell. If the Bengals pick them, we're assuming the Bengals have decided those aren't issues for whatever reason. So we will not be taking them into account because we're rating them as if the Bengals did pick them however we feel. Just want to put that out at the beginning because the medicals on like a Jaheed Campbell absolutely need to be taken into account. We just don't have the knowledge to do that. We, as fans, don't know anything.
Right. So we're going to operate under the assumption that if this is the pick, here's where we would rank it. And if this is the pick, the Bengals have done their due diligence, and they think whatever red flag is out there isn't a big deal. So, why don't we get started with tight ends? Kevin, you want to go first? Well, actually, I'll tell you what, we got this visual aid here. Let's get that up. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, this is still going to be a good episode because they're all amazing episodes. Every single one of them hits. But the watchers are probably going to have a better time with it just because there is a visual aid about to go up, which is the tier list. And I think there's 2 tight ends in the conversation here. I think Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren. My gut reaction is Colston Loveland is an A. He's an A tier, going from S down to D. I think he is a hell of a player, and I think he would instantly take what is probably the weakest group on this team, which is the tight end room, because I do not consider Gesicki to be a tight end. He just isn't.
Right.
I think he instantly takes it from the weakness to a strength, but I'm not certain he is exactly the style of tight end the Bengals should want. I think his blocking is a little suspect. I mean, it's decent, but it's not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that blocking is necessary for a true tight end one in the way the Bengals want to use a tight end, like the way they use Derek Hall. So he's an A for me. What about you, Jason?
So tight end is tough, and I do agree with you. Like on offense, if you're looking at the offense, it's the guard position and the tight end position. Those are the only two things really on offense that they could potentially dress in the first round. I mean, we're not even going to get in the running back situation or get into that conversation, but I do agree that these are the only two guys. I don't really agree though that it's an A, and that's just because of the position. I think that this offense is so loaded with talent, so loaded with skill position talent, so loaded at wide receiver. I know Mike Gesicki is basically a wide receiver 3, but I think that just because of the position, I see other guys more important, guys that I wouldn't be willing to put in S tier, if you know what I'm saying, but guys that I would rather have than either. So for me, they're both Bs. That I would be like, okay, we got a tight end. I like these guys. I would have rather have had something else, but that's just me.
All right. Well, this episode could take a really long time. So I hope that some of these go a lot quicker, but let me counter back at you with this. I would be okay with Loveland as a B, but I am not okay with Tyler Warren as a B. I'm okay with him as an A because football isn't all about trying to have a perfect team. Sometimes it's about leaning into your strengths.
Yep.
And the strength of this team is always going to be the offense. And I'm not being like facetious here. Gesicki is not. I don't care what you call him. He's not a tight end. He is not used like a tight end ever. So that means our starting tight end is either Drew Sample or Tanner Hudson, depending on how you want to count it. We could elevate that position instantly.
Okay.
Like imagine the change you make there.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right.
Okay.
So I think, assuming that, I think we have to kind of operate on the basis that Eric All is done with football. Hopefully he's not, but I think we have to operate under that basis. So I think I would agree. I think I'd give Tyler Warren an A, and then Colston Loveland a B. Are you good with those?
Okay. I am. Okay. I am. I would have it slightly different, but I can accept it and I can move on.
Okay. All right.
I would probably move them both up one tier. I really do think Tyler Warren is a game changer, but we're good. A and B.
All right. So now that comes to edge rusher. The first edge rusher we have to talk about is Shamar Stewart at a Texas A&M. This is a talented group. It's a deep group. I think there will be a couple guys that normally would have gone in the first round that'll fall to the second, not necessarily to the Bengals, but that's how talented I think the edge group is.
Sure.
Having said that, I don't like Stewart that much.
I don't either.
I think that if he was the pick, then in my mind, that means that there are a few edge rushers that went early, at least more.
And then you should pivot to somewhere else.
Right. Something like that. Yeah.
Here's what I really think. People look at that 10 RAS score and think it represents something fundamentally different than it does. Like Miles Murphy was like a 9.8.
Yeah.
The difference between Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart is not what people think it is. Both are like projects that in theory could maybe work out, but did not have the production. Like, do you want Shamar Stewart? We got Shamar Stewart at home. It's Miles Murphy. And I think it would go about the same way. He has like 4 total sacks in 3 years of college play. His upside is good enough that I think I'd be willing to put him at a C.
Yeah.
As opposed to a D, but that's about as high as I'd go with it.
I agree with that. I think I would say if I had to make his own class, he would be like a C-, like somewhere in between C and D. But I can live with.
Yeah, I really don't think he's good at football, man. I really don't. I think the right team gets a hold of him in 3 or 4 years, he could be decent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he will be. He will be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's always like that freak. Someone like, oh, we can be the ones. We can fix them. It just can't be the Bengals. We got too many other needs.
I agree. I totally agree. Which
And
brings
then
us
we
to
got
Mike Green.
up next is Mike Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. What do you think?
I think Mike Green is a game-changing level talent. I think Mike Green is an incredible pass rusher. I think he's a great run defender. I think if we're moving into a 3-4, then he would be excellent in that system. I think he's an A. Because he is just a little lighter, a little smaller than I'd like. But every player at 17 is going to have some knock against them.
Right.
So I would put him in A tier. Where would you put him?
I think that I agree with you. The only reason he's an A is he's a little bit light, a little bit smaller than I would like him to be. I think that he has potential to be the best edge rusher in this year's draft class. There's obviously off-field things, but like I said, we've already mentioned that we're not going to use those when we're like kind of giving out these grades. I kind of bounce back and forth between S and A here, but I think I can agree with an A.
Yeah, okay. Let's put him in as an A, and let's see who ends up in the S, because we have not pre-planned any of this, and maybe he gets bounced up there.
Yeah. All right. So up after Mike Green is Mikael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. Another talented edge rusher that's going to be a first-round guy.
I don't think he's that talented. This is my nightmare scenario. I think he is Shamar Stewart without the potential upside. Out of all the edge rushers, who could potentially fall to us, he is the one I want the least. To me, that's a D pick. It's true. I'm not being like for a team that needs run defense. I think he could be a very good player. We don't need that. We need somebody to generate some kind of pass rush, and I just don't think he's the guy for it.
This is the only guy on this list I had as a D. The only one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, you too? Okay.
Yep. Only guy. Only one I had him there as a D. All right. So we agree with that one. That brings us to Tennessee edge rusher James Pierce Jr. I like him a lot. I don't think he has. I don't think he's. I don't like him as much as I like Mike Green.
No. And he's less consistent, in my opinion.
Yes. But I like him a lot more than I like Williams, and I like him a lot more than I like Stewart. I think he's second or third best edge rusher in this year's draft class. I would give him a B. What are you thinking?
I agree. I give him a B. I give him a B. He would be top of my list potentially in a small trade back scenario. I could absolutely see grabbing him in like the early 20s ish, maybe, and being very happy with that pick. But I do think he's a bit of a project, and I do worry how he's going to handle the AFC North. I think he's he's not a big dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's going to be a moment where he's going to have to try to stop Derrick Henry, and I don't know what that looks like.
In his defense, if that's what he's doing, I don't know how anyone really does well with that if you're not Mike Hilton.
I mean, that's fair. Derrick Henry makes a lot of good players look very bad. That's fair.
Yep. All right. So the last edge rusher that we had that we think that could be a possible selection here is Boston College Donovan Ezuraku, I think. Ezuraku.
Yeah, we're gonna have to learn how to pronounce these names if they become Bengals for a few of them at least.
Oh yeah. So I like this guy. He's kind of a hybrid guy. I think that he could play as a 4-3, 3-4, like full-time outside linebacker, or he could play possibly like I don't know if he's defensive end, like a 3-4 defense, like a 4-3 defensive end, but I could see him as like that, like, oh, he's our pass rush specialist. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy that when he's on the field, he's coming. What do you think?
Yes. I think he's purely a pass rush specialist at the moment. I do think he has upside to be a better run defender. But I'm higher on Ezuraku than most. I think most people probably have him in the early 20s, maybe late 20s. I have him at 17. If we grabbed him, I'd be happy.
Really?
But I know I'm an outlier here. Yes, I think he is a phenomenal athlete. His bend is the first time I started watching highlights of him. He gets so low and bends and like cuts off that arc so cleanly. It looks wild. Every time you think he is being brought to the ground and he just wiggles his way out. But that's a personal preference. But I would put him as a B. To me, he's a B. Even though he is more likely to be picked in a trade back scenario.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought you were going to say A, and I was going to say like no, we can't put him in A. I agree. I think he's a B. I think his kind of the whole one trick pony thing, like I'm a pass rusher, that's what I do. That limits him a little bit. You know what I mean? If he can't be on the field all 3 downs, but when you play in a conference with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and you play Lamar Jackson twice, and you need a guy who can get to the passer. That's just a fact. So I'm good with
finish it once he gets there. He needs to be able to not just get to Lamar. He needs to be able to chase Lamar to the sidelines.
Right.
Like how many times, like, and this is no offense to like Hendrickson, but how many times you see Hendrickson beat the offensive lineman and then just not be able to seal it because Lamar's a freak. Lamar's fast as hell. To have somebody with a little speed and a little agility chasing Lamar Jackson around wouldn't be the worst thing.
I agree with that. All right, so that we're done with edges now. That moves us to the defensive tackle. First one on the list is Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know that you and I know that you don't think he'll be there at 17. I think it's a possibility. He's S for me. He checks every box that you want in a defensive tackle. If he were to fall to the Bengals, I'd be thrilled, beyond thrilled.
Yes.
So
he checks every box. He generates pressure. He is good against the run. He is a sure tackler. He is absolutely physically and production wise everything you want at 17. I see if he falls to me in a mock, I grab him almost every single time, and I end up incredibly happy with that mock. There's a lot of rumors talking about he's top 10 now. Maybe he is, but according to the rumors, 20 to 25 different players are all now locks to go top 10. So we'll see. Knows? But if he falls, S tier, hit the button.
100%. To me, I don't care who else is on this list. If he's there, that's the answer, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
I disagree. There's one other person, but we'll get there.
All right. Okay, we'll get there. So Derek Harmon, the other defensive tackle. I can see this being a real possibility. Out of Oregon. Derek Harmon's like a 3-tech. That's something that we haven't had since Geno Atkins. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that he could. Yeah, I think that he could add just that internal pass rush juice that has plagued the Bengals last year on for their offense. Joe Burrow was running away from guys the guards couldn't block the whole season. But if we haven't had a guy like that on the inside, I think they wanted Sheldon Rankins to be like that. Obviously, that didn't work out. We don't really know who Chris Jenkins and who McKinley Jackson are going to be. I could see one of them developing, but we know who Derek Harmon is. So I like Derek Harmon. Go ahead. What were you going to
say? Just bringing up again the fact that if Al Golden gets his way and they do run a 3-4 more frequently, that's more defensive tackle snaps to be filled in.
It is.
The idea of having 5 or 6 defensive tackles that you're happy with no longer seems crazy because you're playing 3 on the field at a time. I just adding that in as another reason because people are like, oh, we don't need another defensive tackle. If we're running a 3-4, we could absolutely use another defensive tackle.
Yeah, you need one. And we have a nose tackle for it now, too. And that TJ Slayton, that guy they drafted, or they got out of Green Bay for in free agency. All right.
Even if we were running a 4-3, I'd still want them. I'd still want them both.
Oh, yeah.
They're great players.
I don't think he's an S, though. I think Walter Nolan's like the complete package, but I have him just behind. I think he's the second best defense. No. I think he's the second best defensive tackle that could realistically be available at this point in the draft for the Bengals. But I completely
agree. Yep.
I have an A.
A tier, 100% agree. I think his ceiling is massive. I actually think there's a chance he is like all pro, like he's great. But right now he's just too inconsistent. And I'm not grading him on ceiling. I'm grading him on what he actually does. He's an A.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So now we're moving into the offensive linemen. Obviously, they have Amarius Mims and they have Orlando Brown Jr. as your bookend tackles for the next couple of years. So anything that they would be doing in the first round would obviously be someone that would start at the interior. A lot of these guys, there's one of them in here that's like a true guard. The other 2 are guys that play outside that we think we could move inside. And then there's that versatility too. So the first one is Ohio State's Josh Simmons. What do you think?
I think Josh Simmons, there's an argument here, and we'll get to it, that he is S tier along with one other player. So it'd be 3, I guess. I think Josh Simmons goes in the top 10. I think he might be the first offensive tackle off the board if he wasn't hurt.
Right.
I think he would make a very good guard, and I think he would be an excellent tackle if we moved him over to left tackle once Orlando Brown's contract was up. The only ding would be that I don't think he'd be the best guard on this list. I think that would go to Kelvin Banks, who we'll talk about in just a second, because they have kind of the opposite problem. Not the opposite problem. It's not a problem. I think Kelvin Banks would be a very good tackle who would be an all-pro guard.
Right.
Yeah. But I think there's an argument to be made that Josh Simmons is an S tier player.
The only reason
I think he's good.
I totally agree with you.
I think he's good other than the injury. Go ahead. Yeah.
I agree. He could be the first offensive lineman taken off the board. I am going to disagree with you on the S tier thing. And the only reason I'm going to disagree with you is because the what we need him for right now. Yeah, if there's another guy, there's another guy who can step in and play guard on day one and be better than Josh Simmons, then that's why I think he should be an A.
Okay. I won't fight you too much on it, but I almost want to again, tiers exist for a reason. It's a good way to build this all in. But Josh Simmons would be right there with Tyler Warren.
I hear what you. I hear you.
There was somewhere between A and S.
Yeah. Well, you can move him up to S.
I'll accept an A tier for Simmons because you're right. I want to keep it A. A is fine. A is fine.
Okay.
Because I think A tier. I think people try to build these lists. Let's just behind the curtain in a way that will make them happy when they look back on the list after the draft. And I think they artificially inflate players because, we're probably not getting Walter Nolan, in my opinion. Right. We're probably getting Derek Harmon if we go for a defensive tackle. So people will try to put Derek Harmon up there at that S tier so that later on they can be real happy. We got an S tier player. I think S tier should be reserved for those players that you're sitting there and praying they fall to you.
Yes.
Every pick, the 10 picks before you're going not Walter Nolan, not Walter Nolan, not Kelvin Banks, not Kelvin Banks.
Yeah, I know.
Which plays my hand because Kelvin Banks is absolutely an S tier.
Okay. I only have one more S tier left, and it's not Kelvin Banks.
Oh, it's absolutely Kelvin Banks.
Okay,
he would come in. He would provide tackle versatility if you needed him to.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
The best guard in this draft, period. And I know he plays tackle. I don't care. He's the best guard. Look at him. He plays tackle like a guard.
No, I agree with you.
I think he instantly elevates this O-line into something very, very scary.
Yeah.
We sign him. We go out. We get Dalton Reisner. And the whole put 40 on him that we're joking about, that's not a joke anymore. That's the strategy.
I'll tell you what, I didn't have him there just because, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. I had him at A. But I do agree. Kelvin Banks, I think he has the versatility if something were to happen to Orlando Brown Jr. or Amarius Mims. You have a guy there that could step in to that position. But I do agree with you. I think he could be a future all-pro guard. He's built like a guard. He plays like a guard. He just has everything you would want from a guard. It just makes sense.
Yes,
that he would be great. So I do agree. Let's go ahead and we'll skip over the next guy. We'll go ahead and put Kelvin Banks at S, and then we'll go back to Tyler Booker, who is the only offensive lineman on this list who's kind of like a pure guard. Just not really any tackle experience. He's a guard.
Yes, and I don't want him.
Yeah.
I just have no interest in him. If he falls to round 2, hell yeah. I'll take him in round 2. I'll take him in round 2 all day. But I'm not taking an average athlete at guard in round 1 if I have the choice.
No.
Get very, very special people get very, very special guards and centers get picked in the first round. And I just don't think he's it. I think in the NFL, everything people will highlight about him and love about him, I think it's not going to look nearly as good when people way stronger and way faster are coming at him.
The thing with the interior of the offensive line at center and guard is traditionally you can get starters on day 3, like early 4th round, stuff like that. I think when they do a redraft of the 2025 draft in 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, I think Tyler Booker will not even be in the first round. I think everyone will see him as he should have been drafted when Miles Frazier was drafted. Something like that. I just don't think he's got it. So
no,
I say that
I
have it. but I don't. So
I also saw someone point out, just to be fair, that everything that we don't like about Tyler Booker would be minimized the way the Bengals play ball. And I do
yeah,
agree with that. As far as a landing spot, Booker should want to be a Bengal. We get the
yeah,
ball out fast. I
yeah,
think
oh yeah,
he absolutely would look his best with us.
yeah,
But we can do better. I don't think he
yep,
elevates the run game enough. We could do better.
totally
To
agree.
me, he's a D.
I was going to have him at C, but I'll agree with you. I'll put him at D. The reason I have him here is if they take him, there will be guys in round 3 that I absolutely believe will have better careers.
Yes.
So, all right.
Especially round 2. Like, if you're building this team and you know ahead of time, are you picking Tyler Booker in round 1 or are you picking Tate Ratledge in round 2?
Tate Ratledge in round 2.
Every time, right?
Yep.
And I think Tate might actually end up being a better overall player.
Yep. I agree with that. All right. Moving on to linebacker. First one is going to be the number 1 name, the top linebacker in this year's draft class, Jihad Campbell out of Alabama.
This is your S tier.
Yes, this is my other S guy. So I wouldn't have put him in S, and then like the news came out today. I think it was Jason LaConfora or somebody was on there talking, showing an image of him running on a treadmill, and his doctor, who's a renowned doctor around the NFL, said he'll be ready to go for training camp.
Sure.
Jihad Campbell is not only the best linebacker in this year's draft class, he's like miles above everybody else. He's a sideline to sideline difference maker player in the pass game, against the run. He can do it all. They need a linebacker. Jermaine Pratt, he's requested a trade. They signed Oren Burks, but I feel like he's more of a replacement for ADG than he is for Jermaine Pratt. So to me, if they were able to get Jihad Campbell in the first round at number 17 and he's healthy, he turns the whole defense around. That's how good of an impact defensive player I think he is.
I think it becomes part of your defensive identity, a thing we basically don't have anymore.
Right.
We got Hendrickson, and that's kind of it.
Right.
And I think he is the perfect example of the adage draft players, not positions.
Right.
Yeah. In the first round, that is absolutely true. And it changes round by round. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But if you're like, a linebacker in the first round, like
no,
you really
usually I would say
first round. I go, no, I want Jihad Campbell in the first round.
Right. Yes. Jihad Campbell
so
is a freak.
And I agree with you. I think he is an S tier player. I think he is a absolute difference maker. And I would be ecstatic if he became a big
100%. If he's healthy, he immediately, he makes up for any sort of deficiency in front of you. He can help with deficiencies behind you. I think he's immediately the best linebacker on the team right away.
Oh, yeah. And if not for the medicals, he would never make it to us.
No. If it wasn't for the medicals, he wouldn't make it out of the top 10.
100%.
100%. And linebackers, it's just, their linebackers are not the same position they used to be. They're a little bit devalued, just like running backs are. To have him go in the top 10 in 2025 just shows how good of an athlete, how just great of a player he has potential to be.
Yep.
So,
not going to fight you S tier.
No. All right, cool. All right, so that's our linebackers, and that moves us into safety. We decided we didn't think that there was really a corner in the first round that we really thought they had a decent chance of taking. I think there are some guys in the second and third round, just we're not moving
into we're not moving into safety yet.
We're not moving into
Jalen Walker.
Okay. Oh, you're right, Jalen Walker. You're right, Jalen Walker. Edge. Sorry. Or no,
linebacker. He's one of these like weird. He's
linebacker.
One of these weird tweeners. Like I don't know what you want to call him. Put him however you want.
Yeah.
There are people who are There are people who are very big Jalen Walker truthers.
Okay.
If you're watching, please continue to watch. As I tell you, this is another nightmare scenario for me. I think Jalen Walker gets a lot of credit because he can play multiple positions. Yeah. He can do multiple things badly. I don't think he's good at rushing the passer. I don't think he's good at most stuff. I think he is a project. I think he's like this athletic freak that everyone can see. They can mold him into anything. But he's not there yet. I'm not certain he'll get there. But if he does get there, I don't want to be the team that has to waste a first-round pick on a project. I'm done with projects. I want impact, especially in the first round. Jalen Walker is a D for me.
A D? Okay. I had C, but based on the fact that I agree with you, I think he would be a project. I don't think he's going to contribute in some meaningful way outside of special teams right away. So I'm not okay with that. I don't care who it is.
I didn't know how you felt about Jalen Walker. We've actually never talked about it.
I
mean, you
know.
see him going top 10 on some of these.
I could see him going
drafts.
top 10.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going against the flow here, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
I'm not a huge fan. It's like the whole tween thing. I could see him being okay, a good special teams player, and that's about it. I could see, I don't know.
How many of these like tweener positions do you ever see working out? Do you know what
Not
I mean?
A lot.
Like Deebo Samuel broke the game for like years because a bunch of people kept trying to draft Deebo Samuel because he's like this weird like hybrid type player. And it's like, no, he's just Deebo Samuel is Deebo Samuel. He was good when he was good. You can't just go find that. These tweener positions never work out.
Yeah, it's
not never, but rarely.
Right. I don't know. They're difficult to project where they'll work. You know what I mean? Just because every defense is different, where they're going to fall, where they're going to work. And it's also hard to know for sure, what Al Golden's going to do. Maybe it would fit something for him, but I don't personally like him. I kind of agree with you. I'd prefer almost everybody else.
Based off the 3-4 comments, I actually added. I didn't think there was any chance we'd go for Jalen Walker, and that's why I asked you to add him into this, Jason. Is I actually think there's a chance we go for him now,
possible,
just because it's that tweener role that would fit better in that kind of a defense than what we're currently running. But I still just don't want him. Just not my style.
Yeah, if they're serious about projecting, like if they were going to say, "Hey, we're going to run a full-time 3-4. We're going to just switch it. We're going to run it like Pittsburgh and we're going to run it like Baltimore, and we're going to just bail on the 4-3 completely." If they took him in that case, I could see it working out because he gets like the mold, the outside, your outside 3-4 linebacker. So, but
do we want to bump him up to a C then? I don't know if this is one of those things where like my gut says D, but so many people are so high on him. I start questioning myself. I start being like, am I missing something? Like, what am I not seeing?
I think we should move him to C. Okay. I think we should move him to C, but just because the possibility that he fits some niche role that we don't even know exists yet. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Something that Al Golden could do that we don't even know it's a thing, and that he steps in and he's great. So I say C because
if Al Golden,
trust the process.
Okay, this makes sense. If he is drafted, you would imagine they would not be insane enough to draft him unless they had a very specific goal in mind for how to use him. Fair enough. So. I'll give you a C. C makes me feel better because I feel like I'm very low on him. And let's give like the experts their due and let's bump them up a little bit because why not? They know their shit.
I'm good with C. All right, so now we have the safeties.
You were saying cornerback. We decided there's no way they're going cornerback.
Right, not in the first round. I could see second, third round maybe. There wasn't a corner that stood out to me in the first round as being like, oh, I could see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just taken way too early or just not worth number 17. Now, if they trade back into the 20s, possibly, but like you said earlier, we're not going to deal with that. We're not going to do that. So first one is Nick Emmanwori out of South Carolina. What do you think?
Okay, so I think these we got Nick Emmanwori and we got Malachi Starks, and I kind of think we need to talk about both of them at the same time.
Okay,
because I think they do very different things, and I think some stuff that has come out more recently has changed my opinion a little bit. And what I mean by that is the fact that they have said that Dax Hill is going to play outside corner.
Right.
I would have told you the plan was to move him into a kind of hybrid Mike Hilton slot type role where I think he could really shine. They don't want to do that. I think they don't want to keep moving his position, which is fine. But that opens up Nick Emmanwori for me, who I think could fill something similar. I think he's very Kyle Hamilton, very Swiss Army knife type of physical safety that somebody like Al Golden, especially, I think, could make a lot of use out of. If he was stealing the spot from Dax, I would be less high on him. I'd actually have Malachi Starks a little higher than him because I think he's going to be his best when he's more of a traditional free safety. But because of that, I think both are now viable options. And I would put
I agree.
Both at a B because I think they're very good players. And I think they enter the conversation once the premium picks get taken, the S's and the A's.
Right.
And if all those get taken and you end up walking away with like a Jesse Bates or a Kyle Hamilton, who's mad at that, even though it's not a premium position?
Right. No, I agree with you. Again, with the quarterbacks that we face in the AFC, I say we, like I'm on the field, with the quarterbacks the Bengals face in the AFC, you can't have enough good pass rushers and you can't have enough good defensive backs. You just can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are a little bit different. Emenwari's kind of more in the box guy, and Starks is kind of a just jack of all trades. He can kind of do anything.
But
so
I'm saying, if you look at like his stats,
yeah,
he shines. In my opinion, he's best at free safety. I get that he can do a lot of stuff. Malachi Starks.
Oh yeah. Yes. No, I totally agree. I think that he projects more as a free safety, and I could see Nick Emenwari possibly even playing nickel, possibly. I think
if you were smart, he plays a lot of things.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's an athlete. I think he's physical.
Yep.
I think you should, the same way you see Kyle Hamilton in every other play you see that jersey with Hamilton on the back of it if you're playing the Ravens. You should do that same thing with Emenwari if he was used correctly.
Yep. I agree with you. So here's my thing with safety in general is I do absolutely 100% agree that if they're looking at Emenwari or Starks in the first round, it's because everybody they really liked a lot is gone. I don't think there's any chance that they take a safety over a guy like Walter Nolan or Banks or Jihad Campbell. I just don't.
No,
you know what I mean?
No chance. No chance.
I don't know. Oh, man. I was thinking A for Emenwari and B for Starks. And then I kind of talked myself into going A for Starks and B for Emenwari. Sure. So I think I could go for B for both of them. I think that if they take one of these two guys because everyone else above them is gone, I would have rather to trade. But it's better than, some of the guys we mentioned we don't like Jalen Walker.
There is no one in A tier that I wouldn't take over either of these safeties. I would take Derek Harmon in a second. I would take Tyler Warren in a second. Once you get into the B tier, it starts to be a conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of players that I think have downsides to them.
Yeah.
They could be great, but there's some red flags. And I don't think there's a lot of red flags on either of the safeties. It's just positional value. And I know Malachi Starks didn't test great. It's never been a position that requires insane athleticism. I would
Jordan Battle didn't test great.
He did not. I would like to see it higher, but I'm not worried about it. He looked great on the field.
I agree. So I think here's how I could sum up how we have. Well, let's do the trade thing. So the last thing we have here, the last thing we have here is a scenario. Let's say all the guys they really like, the guys in the S tier, the guys in the A tier, they're not there. They are looking down the barrel of a possible safety at number 17, and they get a couple phone calls. Let's say, Deion Sanders' son sitting there at Shedeur Sanders sitting there at number 17, and we got a couple phone calls, guys who are interested. So we have this option.
Yeah, because they want to get ahead of the Steelers because they think the Steelers are going to take him, which they probably would. It could happen.
So the trade, if we had to put that in a tier,
S tier,
and it's just but not trading out of the first, just a trade from 17 to the mid 20s in some area like that to accumulate more picks. I'd be thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
And we don't know the scenario, but the scenario if we end up with Nick Emenwari or Malachi Starks and a third round pick, A plus. Absolute difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. And I love this mid round talent. I think there's a tight end or two I'd be interested in the third round. I think there's a guard or two I'd be interested in the third round. And now we have the luxury of grabbing a player like that, even maybe a running back if the right one falls.
Yep.
That extra third round pick opens it up.
Nope. I 100% totally agree. If they take a B tier guy in the first round and grab an extra second or third round pick, that's just automatically an S. 100%.
Yes.
That's just
yes.
perfect. Perfect. And like you said,
what if they take Stewart in the trade back? Well, because that's the risk, right? Like, I still think that's an A move, maybe even an S move. Honest to God, like, it would be different if this was last year where we had 10 picks.
Well, yeah.
Right. But we got 6 picks and we got a lot of holes to fill. I still think, I mean, I almost can't, you'd have to really, really mess this up for that trade back to end up being something I didn't like.
I agree. I think you'd have to take a D level player in the first round for me to be like, oh, no, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, trade back and grab Tyler Booker. You trade back into like 30, though? Like, the Washington Commanders want to trade with us? Like, I don't know. Tyler Booker suddenly didn't look so bad at 28 or wherever they're picking. If I'm being honest.
No,
like,
I agree with you.
If we're talking to trade back and it's like, well, I don't want a D player. Okay, but if we trade back to like the
where that's
late
what you got.
20s, like or something like that, like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then, you know, maybe there's possibility of more draft capital, you know, an extra
well,
third
that would be
fourth, whatever.
Be the goal, right? Maybe you get a second. Maybe you get a second.
Right. That'd be great. Yep. That'd be great. I don't think I'm really happy with this. So there's really no player that I see here that is out of place for me. I'm pretty happy. I think that, this is how.
Although Tyler Warren should be S tier, but whatever.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I'm not disagreeing with you. But if Tyler Warren is available, and Walter Nolan's available, and Banks is available, and Jihad Campbell's available, are you really telling me you'd rather take Warren than any of those guys? Not me.
Borderline.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't. No, I probably wouldn't. Not based off what the team needs.
Right.
But he is like my 1A. Let's put it that way. Tyler Warren is my 1A.
Yep. If there was,
I really do think he would. This offense would look.
Oh yeah, totally different.
So good.
Yep.
With Tyler Warren.
If there was an A+ tier, that's where he'd be by himself.
Yeah.
By himself. 100%.
All right.
So
I'm happy though. Oh, this episode went long. I just looked up 42 minutes.
Oh yeah, a little bit. So yeah, if you're watching, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. You know, if there's someone that we left out, tell us who it is.
Or someone you dramatically disagree with, which will be the Stewart and the Walker fans, if I had to guess.
Probably. So yeah, let us know what you think. The Bengals draft tonight. I looked up the math. They are drafting number 17. The draft starts at 8. And if every team uses their 10 minutes, which they won't, they would draft around 10:50. But that's not going to happen because there's going to be trades that reset the clock. So my guess is drafting at number 17. Do you remember where they drafted last year? What time they picked? I think it was like around 11:30.
I don't know. I really hope it's not that late. I promise my daughter she can stay up and watch the pick.
Yeah. And I know it's a thing that you and Harper do. Yeah.
It is a thing we do every year. I build big draft boards and I, have her like cross off players as they get drafted. It's a fun thing for us.
Yeah.
But she's going to be a nightmare if she doesn't go to bed till midnight. She's not good in the mornings, Jason. She's not good at all.
It's okay. It's the NFL draft, just one night a year, buddy. Just one night a year. I know. It's all right.
And technically, I'm awake and at work the next day. And it's my wife has to deal with her in the mornings. So
it's not even really your problem.
No, I guess technically it's not. Although
it's not.
I'm sure it would become my problem if that morning was particularly rough.
Probably, but again, it's better just to enjoy this now and beg for forgiveness in a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Enjoy it. All right. We'll be back. We'll probably be back next week. There'll be lots to talk about.
Oh yeah, we'll be back next week. We're gonna talk about the draft and everything.
Yep. So we're pumped. I know. I like listen. Any promises? Now we've been talking to Joe Goodberry. I know we want to get him on soon to talk about who we do pick post draft. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully, we'll have him on here in the next few weeks or so. So,
sounds good.
Got anything else, man?
No, that's it. We've run long. I'm good.
Yep. All right. Well, again, we are on YouTube on the Orange and Black Insider. It's us. It's OBI with John and Anthony, and then over on Believe. On the channel is Believe in Cincy, and that's BLEAV. It's us, it's OBI, it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends, and it's Matt and Willie No Ball. Thank you very much for watching, and Hoo Day.
Hoo Day.